Hello, this is Carla, the Crazy Cross Stitch Lady, and we are back again for another tutorial. We are working on this cupcake pattern, and I believe I said last time it was from Caterpillar Cross Stitch, I believe it is. This is a free pattern that you can get on the internet, and so that's why I'm able to show it on these videos, and I chose it to show you how to actually follow a pattern. So last time we finished up a lot of the purple on the icing here, and so we are going to do the last 2 rows and then we'll be ready for the pink. I was going over some cross stitch terms too, so let's see, let me grab my purple and I'll unwind it here. I need some more floss here, thread floss. So I was going over some cross stitching terms that you might hear. I like to call it stitchinese. And I have found my scissors that I was looking for last time. They were actually under the tablet that I was using to write down the questions for that I wanted to go over for cross stitching terms. So that was pretty funny when I lifted it up and it's like, oh, there they are. So I'm having to do, I usually do this, I have to take my glasses off so I can see them closer, but I'm trying to do this with my glasses on, so it's taken just a little bit here. But the next term is frogging. We stitchers don't like the frog. That frog is a nasty little visitor. What we mean by frogging is something I had to do just a tiny bit of last time, the last tutorial we had, which is you're having to take your needle and you are having to pull out pieces of thread because you've made a mistake, so you have to pull out your thread and start over again, and we call that ripping. So when you have to rip out the thread, you have to rip it, and that sounds like ribbit, and so that's where we get the term frogging. And I think it's just somebody was just being cutesy about it and came up with that term, and then it stuck. Okay, I am having some issues with my threading. Well, I have eye issues. It's not the thread having the issue, it's my eyes having the issue. I think I got it. There we go. Okay, now I think I'm ready to rock and roll. Okay, we got to, let's see, I ended over here, and it wouldn't matter, since we've got the whole row done, it really doesn't matter which side you start on. That's just my OCD. So I'm going to start over here. I'm going to come in one. This one actually goes all the way across until you get to the end and you come in one here. So that's what I'm going to do. And let's see, let me find. Okay, so that's frogging, where you have to rip it. And let me get this untwisted. Sometimes you have to turn the needle just to make sure that it's not twisted. And I'll pull that through. Let me pull it through my loop. There we go. All right, next term is fractional stitches. There are patterns out there that don't require any what we call fractional stitches. What we're doing here, especially with this pattern, is we are doing whole cross stitches. And that is the only kind of stitch that we're doing here, because my purpose was not to get in more practice with fractional stitches. It was showing you how to follow a pattern. And so I wanted to make it as easy as I could. So that's what we're doing. Fractional stitches, if you want to go back to some of my other tutorials, I teach you how to do a tent stitch, which is a half cross stitch. There are some different ways that you can do a half cross stitch, different directions that you go. We've got a couple of different directions that you can go. And some people really, they think that it makes a difference sometimes which way you go. It probably does a little bit, but that's that half stitch because it's just a fraction of a whole stitch is called a fractional stitch. I also, well, I don't know if I can do a whole stitch here. Okay. I also show in another tutorial how to stitch a, let's see, am I going to have issues this video too? I had so many issues last video. Was not even funny. I show how to do a quarter stitch, and then I show how to do a 3/4 stitch. Those are basic fractional stitches. There are some very fancy stitches that you can do. I actually would like to learn how to do some more stitches, and I think I will probably tackle that this summer when I have a little more time. But those are the fractional stitches. When you're just stitching a fraction of a full cross stitch, it's a fractional. Okay, I probably told you more than you wanted to know about that. Okay, and then of course that, okay, notice how I had to pull that one through a little bit more. My thread is wanting to twist on me. Can you see how that's wanting to twist? So I need to run, I just run my fingers back over it a little bit. So let's see, all right, so the next one, of course, would be full stitches. When we say full stitch, we mean what I'm doing right here. This is a traditional cross stitch where you have 2 legs and they create an X. That is a full cross stitch. Okay, then we have a term that is called FFO. And FFO stands for fully finished object. Some people call it finally finished object, but it is fully finished. A fully finished object means that you have stitched something and you have done something to actually make it into a decorative or a useful object. It could be that you have framed it. Maybe you have made a pillow out of it or a wall hanging. I've made coasters before. So anything that makes it into either something decorative or useful is considered fully finished. Okay, and so you may be asking, well, you know, what you call it fully finished, so what do you call it when you just stitch something? So like when we finished with this cupcake and we have a little stitched cupcake on a piece of fabric, that's called a finish. So that when you say you have a finish, it means that you are completely done with the cross stitching part. It's not framed, it's not a pillow, you haven't turned it into any kind of a decorative or useful object. It's just simply stitched. And depending on what you are stitching, sometimes that by itself is a complete full celebration, because like when I finish with a stitch or piece I'm working on that's Michael Jackson and all the confetti that's in there, when I get him finished, that is going to be a celebration all by itself. Okay, so let's see. Next one is haul, H-A-U-L. When stitchers talk about that they have a haul, I'm going to show you my haul. A lot of FlossTubers will get on there, and part of their FlossTube video each time is that they show you what their haul is. Haul is where somebody has gone out to a needlework shop, and depending on where they go, or if they're going on a trip, or if they're on a retreat, sometimes they lose their minds, and when they get finished in that shop, they do not have a checkbook left. So what haul means is, all joking aside, they have purchased a large quantity of cross-stitch related items. That is haul. So they may have ordered a bunch of patterns. They may have bought quite a bit of floss. They may have some new fabric. And so they take a whole section of their video and they show you all that stuff. And that is their haul. All right. Come on, little needle. Work with me, please. All right. Sometimes you have to do that too when you're just like, oh, come on. You know, I talk to my, all these inanimate objects, anthropomorphize them so they become very human. My husband thinks it's quite humorous. Okay, and so if you're still watching this and you don't think I've lost my mind, okay. So the next term is kit. So a kit is, well, I will show you a kit. I've got one right here, so that's awesome. Okay, so this is a kit from Dimensions, and it even says Learn a Craft, and over here it says Cross Stitch Kit. So this kit has, as you can see, it's got floss, and it's got a hoop. There is a needle in here somewhere. I know there is a needle in here. And then as you can see here, it's got some Aida fabric, and then the chart or the pattern is back here. So all of that is together. Now, you don't have to have a hoop in order for it to be considered a kit. What you have to have is you have to have fabric, needle, thread, and the pattern. You have to have those 4 things, and that is considered a kit. So it comes with everything that you could possibly need. I've got to flip my page over here. All right. We are going to get this purple icing part done because I don't know about you, but I am ready to start with another color. I love purple. Purple is my favorite color. And this is a really pretty purple. But even with the purple, I do get a little tired and I'm ready for another color. And we've been stitching on this for several tutorials now. And that's fine. That's part of it. I had planned this. But we're getting to the end, so I can feel myself getting a little bit antsy to start a new color. And my thread keeps wanting to twist up a little bit today for some reason. So I keep having to kind of pull it through, and I'm having to run my fingers over that. And in some days, that's just how it is. That's just how it happens. And so you untwist it and you go on. And as I said in the last tutorial, if you start getting frustrated and your floss just continues to just get twisted up, and you keep having to start over, and or you're having to rethread your needle 15,000 times, then just take a break. Stop. If you need a 2-hour break, take it. If you need to wait until the next day to start again, wait until the next day to start again. Okay, so I've got this row. So I'm going to take my highlighter, hoping it doesn't run out on me. And we're going to go all the way across here. I'm going to do it like one little bit at a time because I had been wearing this highlighter out. Let's see. There we go. And you want to make sure you're only coloring what you stitched and not other things. So you have to be careful with that. Normally, I don't work with patterns that are this, where it's printed so largely, but I wanted it like this so you could see it a lot better. Okay, so now looks like we're coming in 3. We're going to start under the 4th one, and we're going to do 4. And I don't have anything to gauge that in by because it's all straight across, so I have to count for that one just to make sure. So come down to the 4th one, come underneath the 4th one, and then stitch 4. So I'm going to finish finish off this X, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and coming under that fourth one, okay, and we're going to stitch 4. I don't know about you, but sometimes I like to sit quietly and just stitch and listen to the thread being pulled through the fabric. That's a tactile thing. Well, it's a sensory thing, auditory. But I like the feel of it. I like listening to it. I don't know. There's something about it that's very comforting to me. I guess that's why I do it. One of the reasons, anyway. So, you know, you may find this, at least I hope you find this to be comforting to you. Some people prefer certain fabrics for that very reason. They like to be able to feel the softness of the fabric. They say, you know, it feels really nice to stitch with. Some like certain types of floss for that reason. They're like, oh yes, it's a dream. It just glides through the fabric. And so cross-stitching is a very tactile kind of hobby. Okay, so stop here, and I'm going to skip 1, and then I'm going to go over 2, 4, 5. So skip 1, and I'm going to stitch 5. Okay, so I skipped the 1. We're going to stitch 5. Okay, next term is skein. Skein is simply how floss is sold in stores. Usually it comes in a certain length, and it is it's looped where it looks like it's folded together, and there's a label that's put on there, and the label will tell you the color, the color number of the floss, and it will also give you the brand name. That's how most of it is sold. Sometimes it's sold on a floss bobbin. Sometimes it's sold on a drop, but especially like with DMC, which you've seen most of, it's sold in skeins that have the little paper labels on them. So that's, and what you do is you take a skein, like when you put your floss on a bobbin, usually just put 1 skein. So this would be 1 skein of floss. So you can get a good little portion of it, although I have to say the price has gone up quite a bit over the last few years, where it used to be, I remember when it used to be like, I think 25 cents for a skein, and now it's up to more like 53 cents. And I know that's not a huge jump over the number of years I've been stitching, but still, it just you're kind of like, yeah, I really wish you wouldn't do that, you know. But, you know, it's worth it if it's something that you really enjoy. It's not unreasonable. It's not an unreasonable price. Okay, so there's 5. And now we're going to skip another one and do 4. Okay, the next one, and this is a term that I've started using a lot in my videos, is the word stash. Now, haul is when you've just bought, well, come on, needle. It's where you have the haul is where you've just bought stuff and you are wanting to share what you have just bought. And stash is something that you have had in your possession for a while. It's a collection of cross stitch stuff. So, you know, I have a collection of patterns and I have a collection of magazines that are all cross stitch. And so I have been sharing them on my FlossTube, like one at a time, just to highlight each one. And I know I have more stuff than I will ever be able to stitch in a lifetime. At least I believe I do. Other stitchers I know have a lot more stuff than I do. I don't buy tons and tons of stuff, and I don't buy it frequently. I will probably do that more when I retire, and I'll be in a better position to, not financially in a better position, but just time-wise, I'll probably start burning through some of those projects a little bit more. And let's see, I've got to make sure I've got my count. Yeah, okay, so there's 4 and that's done. Okay, so sorry, I had to, sometimes you have to go through and count and make sure. All right, I'm going to run my needle through here. I'm able to finagle my hand around the hoop. You can take the hoop off to do this. I just really didn't want to. And I'm going to trim that. Put that in there. Okay, so let me mark this off. And we are done with the purple. Yay! That's our mini celebration. We are done with the purple. So let me see if I can, well, I thought, yeah, it's about as far back as it's going to go. So there's the pattern, and then there's what it looks like stitched. Yay! Okay, now we're going to go to the pink, which is right here. So what I need to do is I need to move my needles, what I need to do. I'm going to look down here at my key, and we see that this, it has a pink hue to it, but if you didn't have colors, we see that it looks like an upside down T. So I'm going to look down at my color key. Here's my upside down T, and we're going to use number 605 for this. And so I only have 4 colors, so it makes it really easy. So there's my 605. So that's what I'm going to use next. Now, I still have a lot of this thread left with the bobbin. So this is what I do. You do not have to do this, but this is what I do. I'm not throwing this away. That, you know, we got some good thread here. So what I'm going to do, and this is what I do with my bobbins right now, and this is one thing, you don't have this issue. If you use a floss drop, you're only pulling out one at a time, so you're good to go. With a bobbin, you have to cut off a whole section at a time. So I'm just going to take my first part of the section and loop it through there, and then I wind it back this way. I don't wind it this way because it will blend in. I like knowing that I have a cut piece, and so all I have to do next time that I use this color is unwind this and use it. Now, like I said, you don't have to do this. If you're thinking, yeah, I don't like that, don't do it. I like to do this, so I'm just showing you what I'm doing with this floss that's been cut, and it's not really part of the rest of the stuff on the bobbin now, so that's what I do. So I'm going to set that aside, and now I'm going to unwind some of this beautiful pink color. It's so pretty, and my nails need painting badly, and I probably shouldn't share that, but I did. And I've been having some issues with hangnails and stuff that I don't usually have, and so, you know, a little irritating, but it's all good. It'll be okay. we'll focus on these pretty colors. Oops. I don't throw scissors all over the place. Okay, so now I'm going to pull off one strand of my pink. So I'm just pulling off my strand. And remember, just pull straight out and it comes off, and then you can just kind of gently pull it out so it's not tangled. And now I'm going to make my ends meet. I'm back here off the camera doing this, and then I'm going to thread my needle. Now, find my needle, because I didn't bring my needle minder back here like I should have, so there we go. Okay. I can hear the train in the background. There's a train that, there are train tracks that are close to the very back side of our property, which is way back, but you can hear the train whistling. I find that comforting in a way. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. So when you're looking at your pattern, you're changing your color. So now we're going to do the pink. Now, we could go across, okay? We can do that. If we go across, what we're going to end up doing, even though there aren't that many stitches, it really wouldn't be that big of a deal, but we're trailing thread. Every time we have to go behind the blue, we're going to trail some thread. It won't show through. I can tell you right now it won't show through, but that's a lot of thread to be trailing, and it's wasting a lot of your thread. Not that thread is super, super expensive, but still, you know, we'd be wasting some thread. We could be using that for other projects or using it for this. Now, sometimes, like if you look at your pattern, you notice there are certain other ways that you can do it. So we can tell there are these little stripes that are here in the icing. Sometimes like you see on actual icing, you might see these little stripes coming down through here. So, excuse me, what I think the best thing to do, and to keep from wasting a lot of thread, is to start up here, and we're going to do this section, then come back up and stop your thread, come back up here, do this section, stop your thread, then come back and do this section. And that way, you've got all of your pink thread in one area. You're not trailing it across the blue and wasting a lot of thread. You're doing it all together in one, and it'll just, not that it matters that much. I mean, it'll make the back look neater, but you know, I don't really care what the back looks like. My back usually looks pretty good, but it's not that I'm trying to make it look good. But I do full X's, and I don't do you know, like half stitches going across and then come back and do the other half. I've never done it that way. I don't enjoy it that way, although you can if you want to. But also keep in mind, excuse me, these two blocks, remember I had accidentally highlighted them and I had not stitched them. So I went back with my pen and I did a little outline thing just to call my attention to this when I got to this point, to let myself know, hey, this is also a pink one. It's not stitched. You have to stitch that. Now, if we look on here, you notice they're all together in one group. And we know that all of this is pink. So I'm really not going to have to look at my pattern for this, because I know that everything here, and everything here is pink. So this will give me a break from having to constantly look at the pattern, and I can just stitch. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch one section like this. I'm going to do this section here, and then I will go ahead and color that in. Then I'll do this one, color it in, and the same with this one. And it'll go a little bit faster. So I'm going to come up here and put my needle in there and leave my loop, and then back through and make sure my needle goes through my loop. There we go. And now I can stitch. So let me, this one may, it looks like this pink one's not going to, it wants to kind of twist a little bit too. Sometimes certain colors are really bad about twisting, and I can't seem to find the, oh, there it is. Okay, some colors are worse about twisting than others, I found. Haven't figured out why that is. It is what it is. Okay, this next one, this next term is so cute. I love this one. It's Stitchy Buddy. So I'm a part of a couple of, well, actually 3 different Facebook groups where there are a lot of stitchers. And this one in particular, there are several ladies who will do their stitching. And as they're doing their stitching, they have a little furry friend who likes to join them because they don't want to be left out, you know. So we have to sit in mommy or daddy's lap while mommy or daddy's trying to stitch. And so they're called little stitchy buddies. It's any pet who wants to sit with you or on you while you are stitching. I never had that issue when I had my cat. He liked to, excuse me, he liked to sit on your chest, and he wanted his face right up next to yours. So if he was in my lap, I would not have been able to stitch it. All right, so I was just rudely interrupted by my phone ringing, which I should be actually count my blessings, because this is, excuse me, I'm sorry I'm coughing so much. This is the first time that I've actually been interrupted like that, but that was our school calling. They're either saying we're on NTI or it's going to be a snow day. I don't know which. But anyway, I was running close to time anyway. I'll just have to splice this together, I guess. But to finish my cat story, and then I will let you go because we are, I think, at the 30-minute mark anyway. So my kitty cat would want to sit on my chest, and he would put his face up close to mine. I mean, so close where I could feel his little breath going in and out. And so I wouldn't have been able to do any stitching anyway. Right now, I don't have the burden. I'm not, well, I use burden facetiously, actually, because the pets aren't a burden. I don't have a pet right now, and so I don't have to worry about that, although at some point we may get another pet. We've thought about getting a dog or something like that, and so we'll see how it goes. We may or may not. I grew up with a lot of pets, but haven't had one in a while. So we'll see how it goes. I want to be able to actually be able to spend a lot of time with the pet. They deserve that. And I know that I can't give a pet what it needs right now. So it would not be fair for me to actually get one and not, you know, if I'm going to get one, I've got to be able to completely take care of that baby. Okay, so let me finish this. Well, maybe. I'll tell you what, it has been, we've got some contrary parts in here. Okay, so we've stitched that much of the pink. I am going to stop there, and we will pick up at this point next time. So be creative, be blessed, and I will see you later. Bye.